everyone, today we're going to be continuing the reading of Mary Ellen Larkin's first book called The One and Only by Valerie Tripp. Chapter 3, Extraordinary, Not Extraordinary. The hose was right next to the kitchen door. Tom, who always liked to pretend that he was a fireman, held the hose while Joanne washed the sand off Mikey's feet, which made Mikey giggle and dance. Then Tom squirted Scooter, who sat agreeably, and let him do it. Mary Ellen didn't even change out of her bathing suit, but went straight to the carport and began rummaging around on Dad's workbench for red paint and a paintbrush. She was going to paint the front door of their house red. Really red. Bright, shiny, eye-catching, fingernail polish-ish, lipsticky red. No one else in the Palms had a red front door. Betty and Florence would be so impressed. They'd say to Mom, "My goodness, Kay, your house really stands out from the rest. It's extraordinary. It's the only one with a bright red door." And Mom would smile proudly and say, "Mary Ellen painted our door red. It was her idea. She always has great ideas." And then, when Betty and Florence talked to Mary Ellen for the first time, they wouldn't say what people usually said, which was, "You're Mary Ellen. Which one are you? The second, third, or fourth sister?" Instead, they would say, "You're Mary Ellen. Oh, you're the one with all the great ideas." Mary Ellen was so intent on imagining Mom's pride and Betty's and Florence's admiration, and so focused on her search for paint, that she practically jumped a foot when Beverly's squeaky voice behind her asked, "What are you doing?" Mary Ellen turned to see Beverly, Tom, Mikey, and Scooter standing in a row behind her, watching her. Beverly was wearing her baseball cap crown. Except for Scooter, they were all eating orange popsicles, so their mouths were wreathed in orange stickiness. "What are you doing?" asked Beverly again. "Nothing," Mary Ellen answered. "Go find Carolyn." "She left for piano lesson," said Beverly. "She said to tell you to take the brownies out." "What about Joanne?" said Mary Ellen. "She's getting ready for Jerry," said Beverly. "She gave us popsicles and told us to come find you." Mary Ellen sighed. She could see that she was stuck with Beverly, Tom, Mikey, and Scooter as an audience for her project, whether she liked it or not. "All right," she said briskly. "I'm going to paint the front door red, like Mom's fingernail polish. You can watch, but don't get in the way." Mary Ellen found a can of red paint and a paintbrush left over from when Dad had touched up Tom's fire truck. The paint was sort of lumpy and smelly, and the brush had dried so that it was stiffened into a hard curve. Mary Ellen knew that Dad would say that she should clean the brush with turpentine, but she didn't have time to fuss. She had to finish her surprise before Mom and Betty and Florence came home. To make herself faster and taller, Mary Ellen put on her roller skates. She pictured herself gliding smoothly as she painted, like the waitresses on roller skates at the drive-up restaurants she'd had seen on TV. "I want to paint too," said Beverly. She and Mikey trailed along behind Mary Ellen as she roller skated to the front door. Scooter, who had an unerring instinct about where he'd be most in the way, plunked himself down right behind Mary Ellen. "I want to paint too," echoed Tom, pedaling his fire engine along behind them. "Paint," said Mikey. "No," said Mary Ellen. "Why?" asked Beverly. "Because there's only one brush." "Can I have a turn with it?" "Me too," asked Tom. "Paint," said Mikey. "No," said Mary Ellen shortly. "Why not?" asked Beverly. "Because it was my idea and I'm doing it," said Mary Ellen. She sounded crosser than she meant to. The truth was that she was cross at herself, because only now that she looked at the front door did she realize that she had forgotten about the screen door, which was outside the front door, so she'd have to paint that first. Oh well, there's not much to paint. How hard could it be? Mary Ellen thought. She remembered seeing a commercial on television in which a lady painted her whole living room all by herself, and there was nothing to it. She pretended to be in that TV commercial. She held the can of paint in one hand, dipped the brush into it, and boldly swiped a stroke of red on the middle slat of the screen door. "Uh-oh," said Beverly. "Uh-oh what?" asked Mary Ellen, even though she had spotted a problem too. "It's all bumpy," said Beverly. "Oh, no one will see," said Mary Ellen airily, even though it was easy to see that she'd painted over dead bugs, and their bodies were now permanently attached to the screen door, like raised polka dots. She was glad when Joanne's boyfriend Jerry drove up in his convertible hot rod. He would be a great distraction for her critical audience. "Hi, Jerry," Mary Ellen, Beverly, and Tom called. Mary Ellen turned and waved her paintbrush. "Hi, kids," said Jerry as he got out of his car and came up the front walk. Mary Ellen thought he looked very handsome in his white tennis outfit. "What's with the paint, Ellie?" "Paint," said Mikey. "I'm painting our door red," Mary Ellen explained. "It's a surprise for Mom." "She'll be surprised, all right," said Jerry. "I guess I'd better knock on the kitchen door to let Joanne know I'm here for our date." Mary Ellen seized the opportunity, even though she knew she was risking Joanne's wrath. "Speaking of dates," she said to Jerry, "have you ever thought about setting a date? To marry Joanne, I mean." To what?" Jerry sputtered. He looked surprised. "Marry Joanne," Mary Ellen plowed on doggedly. "She's almost 18, you know. She'll graduate from high school next June, and millions of girls get married right after they graduate." Jerry looked stunned, as if someone had bonked him on the noggin. He was speechless. Mary Ellen pressed on. "You had better ask her soon," she advised Jerry. "She's awful pretty and very popular and—" But Mary Ellen didn't have a chance to finish her sentence, because just then everything happened at once. Beverly, who had been dipping her empty popsicle stick into the paint can and painting her fingernails red, stopped and looked up. "Allie," she asked, "what's that smell?" Mary Ellen turned and saw smoke billowing out of the kitchen door, just as Carolyn came running up the driveway, waving her piano music and shouting, "Ellie, the brownies! They're burning!" Joanne rushed out to see what the fuss was, flung open the front screen door, and knocked Mary Ellen backward on her roller skates. As Mary Ellen fell over Scooter and landed bottom first in a bush, red paint went flying. All over her, all over the front step, and all over Jerry's white tennis shorts and shirt. "Hey!" exclaimed Jerry. "Oh no!" shrieked Joanne. Tom, making siren noises and clanging the bell on his fire truck, pedaled to the kitchen door and turned on the hose. He squirted water through the kitchen screen door, trying to put out the fire in the oven like a fireman. Beverly held up her hands, which were covered in red paint, and wailed. Mikey, unperturbed, picked up the paintbrush and began painting red stripes on Scooter, who didn't seem to mind. And it was at that exact moment that Mrs. Larkin's car pulled into the driveway, horn honking, honk honk, to announce its happy arrival. "Mom!" Joanne, Carolyn, Mary Ellen, Beverly, and Tom yelled at the top of their lungs. "Fire!" yelled Jerry. "Paint!" yelled Mikey. "Ow!" howled Scooter, not to be left out of the ruckus. "Ow, ow, ow!" The car screeched to a stop, and Mrs. Larkin, Betty, and Florence jumped out. "What's going on?" Mrs. Larkin shouted over and above all the noise. "Oh, my stars! Look at this mess! How on earth did this happen?" Suddenly, everyone was quiet. None of them had ever seen Mom this mad before. Even Scooter was cowed and maintained a dignified silence. Mary Ellen stepped forward. At this moment, she certainly had her mother's undivided attention. And oh boy, did she ever wish she didn't. "Mom," she began. Her voice sounded as wobbly as her knees felt. "I was only trying to paint the door. I didn't mean to make a mess. I'm sorry." "Sorry?" Joanne repeated. "You've ruined Jerry's tennis clothes. You've ruined our date. You've ruined the front of our house. And all you can say is you're sorry." Joanne put her hands on her hips and leaned toward Mary Ellen. "This is just the kind of disaster I was talking about earlier. Mom lets you get away with murder, but you're not a baby anymore. When are you going to grow up?" She stormed off with Jerry, holding him by the arm, but gingerly so that she wouldn't get red paint on her tennis dress. "Oh, Allie," moaned Mom. She closed her eyes, pressed her red fingertips to her forehead. Then she opened her eyes and said, "Allie, I will speak to you about this privately. Carolyn, please help Betty and Florence get settled and then give them a glass of iced tea on the back patio." "Sure, Mom," said Carolyn. Everyone skedaddled, and Jerry and Joanne drove away. Mom and Mary Ellen were alone. Mary Ellen picked up the paintbrush and the paint can and tried to explain. "I only wanted to," but Mom interrupted. "No explanations right now, please, and just leave the mess," she said flatly. "We'll deal with it later, after Betty and Florence have left. Right this very minute, I've got to tell you that I'm disappointed in you. Dad would be too. It is childish to get so carried away that you don't stop to think. I understand that in a big family like ours, it's hard to get your fair share of attention. But Ellie, honey, like it or not, you are just one of 6 children. You cannot be the center of attention all the time. And in any case, there are better ways of getting attention than showing off and slathering red paint all over. Didn't you promise me just this morning that you'd act more responsibly?" Mary Ellen nodded. She was too close to tears to speak. She was sorry to have upset Mom, and she was even sorrier that her surefire way of pleasing Mom had completely backfired. What a flop! What a failure! What a disaster! She sure had failed Mom's test. Now, Joanne and Mom would never agree to the all-girls room. Worse than that, instead of thinking that she was more grown up, Mom and Joanne now thought of her as even more messy and irresponsible than before. The full moon was so bright and shone such a strong silver light into the bedroom that Mary Ellen could not sleep. Lying on her upper bunk, she tossed and turned and flushed hot and cold, just thinking of the red paint disaster. No one had said anything about it at dinner or later while everyone was watching TV. Even Joanne didn't mention it, and her silence was strange considering how mad she'd been earlier. But Mary Ellen knew it was on everyone's mind, especially hers. "Jeez Louise, Ellie," Joanne said sleepily. "Stop spinning around. What are you doing? Practicing your underwater somersaults. Go to sleep, why don't you?" "Sorry," said Mary Ellen. She flinched, expecting Joanne to jump all over her again the way she had earlier when Mary Ellen had used the inadequate word sorry. But Joanne didn't. In fact, her voice was kind when she said, "Listen, Ellie Jelly, don't be so hard on yourself. You're upset because your red paint idea didn't work out, but everybody makes a mistake once in a while. Your mistake today just happened to be a Lulu." "All my ideas seem to be mistakes," said Mary Ellen. "They're all Lulus." "Oh, I don't know about that," said Joanne. "You had one good idea today." "I did?" asked Mary Ellen. She could hardly believe her ears. "What was it?" Joanne giggled a little. You told Jerry to, get on the ball, she said. Mary Ellen gulped. You're not mad about that? She asked. Well, no, said Joanne. In fact, I'm glad you said something. Mary Ellen was flabbergasted. Glad, she repeated. Mm-hmm, said Joanne. Thanks to you, Jerry finally gave me his fraternity pin. He did? Squeaked Mary Ellen. Yup, said Joanne. I was hoping that he would pin me before he went back to college in the fall. But of course I couldn't ask him. Girls don't propose to boys. So that means you're engaged to be engaged, right? Mary Ellen asked. And does that mean you'll be getting married soon? Now that Joanne was being so nice, Mary Ellen wasn't sure she wanted her to leave. Not right away, at least. No, we won't be getting married for a while yet, said Joanne. So don't say anything to Mom and Dad. Jerry and I want to talk to them together because it's a pretty big deal. Getting pinned does mean there's a wedding in our future. Oh boy, said Mary Ellen. A wedding. Can I help you plan it? You bet, said Joanne. So see, not all of your ideas are bombs. Even this all-girls room isn't as bad as I thought it would be. I have more space in here, and you organize your stuff pretty well. After Betty and Florence leave, I think I'll tell Mom it's okay with me to make the move permanent. Really? Asked Mary Ellen, her heart lifting. Really, said Joanne. She yawned, and then she said, You still have to get Mom to agree, though. Now, if you could just come up with another one of your great ideas for undoing the mess you made with the red paint out front, you'd be all set. Meanwhile, go to sleep, okay? Okay, I'll try, said Mary Ellen, full of gratitude for Joanne's forgiveness. She closed her eyes and tried to go to sleep, but her brain kept going over and over what Joanne had said. Undo the mess, undo the mess. How? Mary Ellen thought, can I undo the mess? So that is the end of chapter 3, guys. I'm actually really happy with how this chapter sort of ended. I was a little bit worried in the beginning that this was kind of a mess that Mary Ellen would never, ever be able to undo. But I think now she actually has a chance. And the fact that Joanne's happy, that's a first. So I'm really excited to continue reading. So make sure you guys stay tuned for chapter 4, which will be posted very soon. So make sure you guys subscribe, hit that little bell for post notifications. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. See you soon.